Wembley?
Yeah, back in 95.
All right. We are live on YouTube and someone just disappeared. Where'd Tim go?
Oh no.
Anyway, Tim got
He got shy. He got
disappeared.
Shy. Well, we'll see. Maybe he'll come back. So
we were just discussing our favorite live shows, and Tim just disappeared because we were talking
he
about
dropped
it.
out. He dropped out because we were talking about it. So we got to find out. So wait a second. Stephen Pepper has seen Bon Jovi live. Like that's what it just came up right before we came on. So that had to be a great show.
It was a fantastic show, and it was back in 95. So
it was
just after they'd released their first Greatest Hits album and stuff. So it was an amazing show. They were supported by Van Halen, Ugly Kid Joe, and Van Thorns, and so like it was a really it's a really good thing. And I managed to get there early enough in the day that I was only a few rows back at Wembley Stadium as well, which was a pretty awesome experience.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Something else.
It's like all the hair metal bands like all together on one stage, and it's Wembley, for God's sake.
And this was like the old Wembley Stadium as well, so it doesn't even exist anymore because they built a new one since.
Oh, right.
Real deal.
I feel like Nick, you have to give some background on why we were discussing that, don't you?
Oh, we were just discussing it because I had to educate everybody on some decent artists here. Because I was kind of stoked because yesterday I wrote like a silly little post and I noticed it only had one like, and I clicked on it and it was Robert Randolph, which if you don't know Robert Randolph and the Family Band, you should look him up. You should watch some of their energetic stuff. I don't know what you came to do on YouTube. You look that up and you'll be like, oh wow, that's some fun stuff. So anyway, been to see Robert Randolph a few times. So I was really excited that he liked something that we wrote. So
do you think he's here now? Is he watching this live stream?
Is Robert here?
I bet Robert is watching this right now thinking this is my favorite live show ever.
Robert, if
right now,
here, let us know.
Right here, even though Nick is frozen.
That's the drama. The drama is when Nick's frozen. It's like Han Solo. Right. When is he gonna be saved?
Nick is actually one of those guys that pretends to be a statue in like tourist areas. He like paints himself gold and just stands there. He's really good at being very still. So that was really cool.
Got so many jobs. Well, maybe while he's fixing his frozen situation, are we ready to go to our questions?
Let's do it.
All right, cool. Question one, any tips on how to get targeted for NLL offers for Amex? Someone want to say what that means first?
That means no lifetime language.
So any tips on how to get targeted for no lifetime language offers from Amex? I feel like I'm the only one who didn't get targeted for the business checking and business platinum bundle offer.
You're not the only one. I didn't get targeted for it either.
And are there secrets to how to get targeted, or is it just whoever's lucky enough to?
Well, being in my household gets you targeted. Everyone in my household got that offer, so I guess I could adopt you, but I'm not sure. I don't know you very well, so
good poor choice.
Go that route.
No, I don't know. You just got to keep clicking the links and hope for the best. Yeah, I don't know what you're saying. But you know what? There's don't worry about that bundle offer, because I said in conversation amongst us when I realized I wasn't targeted, I was like, it's not that big of a deal, because there's another post. If you look up on Frequent Miler, you'll find another post with targeted links. And so there was an offer just for the business platinum that we have, one of those, again, targeted links you got to click, but it was 160,000, 150K plus 10K for adding an employee when they spend 1,000 in the first, I don't know, however many months, and so it's 160K for that. And then if you were to open the checking account also, you'd get 60K there, so you'd have 220K points. You'd be 10,000 short of what somebody who got the bundle offer did. And the overall scheme of things, that 10,000 points is probably not that big of a deal, so you can unbundle it as I did if that's what you're looking.
And there are a few places to check if you're targeted as well. So there's the direct links where you can see if you're checking your Amex offer when logging into your Amex account, and also check your emails, because sometimes you'll see offers there that aren't necessarily in your Amex offers. So if you use Gmail and you get things going to your promotions tab or something like that, be sure to check that, because it might be that you're targeted, but you're just not seeing them potentially.
That's a good tip.
Don't forget to do. I don't know if you are, whomever this is who asked this question, but don't forget to do incognito mode in multiple browsers, and also don't forget your mobile phone. There's a lot of people that some of these show up on Safari and incognito on iPhone, for instance, that don't show up on Google Chrome or Firefox or something like that. And there's even an offer earlier this year that for some reason we were all able to download a browser called Brave and get into incognito mode with Brave, and that triggered and we all saw it on Brave, but didn't see it in other browsers. So don't just do one browser, try multiple ones, and try also being not logged into your Amex account while you're doing it.
With that one though, I think you have to log in order to apply. So
with the check-in?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I feel like we covered some good tips here. So I'm gonna... So question 2, when do you think the Chase Hyatt offer will improve? Also, why do you think it's been so bad for so long?
Oh boy, that's a good question. Yeah, it's been bad for a long time, and I don't, for whatever reason, they haven't seen a need to improve it, and so I'm not holding my breath. That, you know, it seems to be that the way they go about trying to improve these Hyatt offers is by adding the ability to get like double leap nights or something like that, and otherwise keeping the offer the same. So maybe we'll see that again, but I don't expect to see a great offer for the Hyatt card anytime soon.
All right, grim news. Question 3, my annual fee hit on my EDP, so I downgraded it to the no annual fee Amex ED. Come to find out, I only had the card alive for 11 months, so the RAT clawed back my 40,000 upgrade offer. Are those long gone? And what do all those acronyms mean?
So EDP is everyday preferred. So that's an Amex card, and ED is the everyday, the non-preferred version. And RAT is exactly what it spells. It's the Rat Squad, the rewards abuse team. So there we go. Now Carrie has all of her acronyms. So now that I did all the acronyms for Carrie, does somebody else want to answer the question? And I say for Carrie and anybody else who didn't.
Who didn't know I mean, as far as I'm aware, they're gone, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know of any way to get it back.
Appealing with Amex, but I haven't heard any kind of data points of anyone being able to get their points back after they've been clawed back for closing an account or downgrading it early.
Bummer. All right, more grim news. Question 4 is for Nick. What was your favorite thing in Cebu besides the CNT lechon?
Oh, I didn't, obviously I was there for a short amount of time. So I feel like there were things that I would have liked to have seen that I didn't get a chance to see. So I don't know if I have the best favorite thing for you. I think that I wouldn't say that the canyoneering tour that I did was my favorite thing. But I think if I was 20 years younger, it would have been my favorite thing. I think that, at my age, I realized how ridiculously insane it was. And so it was less fun.
Were you kind of terrified?
It would have been when I was young and dumb. I was a little bit terrified. I'm not going to lie. I was like, wow, this is like right from the start, because they put you on a motorcycle and it's like 3 of us on a motorcycle going like kind of full speed down the road. And I've got this like tiny little like canyoneering helmet on my head that I'm like, that's not doing anything, and I'm in shorts and a t-shirt on this motorcycle with 3 people. So wow. Yeah, I was right from the beginning. I was kind of like, oh, maybe this wasn't a great idea, and then we end up on this tiny little pathway that's barely big enough for the motorcycle going downhill and bouncing. So yeah, then it actually became real when we got to the point where there were cliffs where I was like, all right, well, the only option is to jump because I can't climb up the last 3. And so got to jump and keep going. So it was, there were parts of it that were fun. And I think that years ago, I did things like that I look back on it as being a lot of fun. But I think that being a little bit older and more aware of my mortality, it was less fun than it would have been years ago. So if you're young, do the canyoneering thing. That's my tip there.
Nice. All right. Question 5. Anyone have any new ideas to get $15,000 of spend in 3 months?
New ideas.
Yeah. This person elaborates a little bit more. For minimum spend, I dabble in gift cards here and there, but would appreciate more ideas.
I mean, I did the Delta gift cards the other day because there was, I was aware of someone that was buying them for face value, or not for face value, for the cost. Because there was I think Stephen Pepper wrote the post about that, right? You could buy up to $1,000 in gift cards for $900, and I was able to sell them for $900. So that knocked out $1,000 in the spend on my new business platinum card right there. So I think gift cards is potentially, like that anyway, is potentially a way to do it. Now I say that, and surely somebody out there is like, but you can't buy gift cards with an Amex. Maybe not. I don't know. When you're working on the welcome bonus, buying things that are very obviously like Visa gift cards, like Simon Mall purchases, is usually not a good idea. I've not had problems with stuff like Delta gift cards from my gift cards plus, so I'm not too worried about that. But now, does somebody else want to pick up the ball from there and run with it?
Give away your secrets.
I mean, I think
taxes, pay your taxes.
And I think, Nick sort of alluded to it in his, that's kind of why I asked Stephen, like, there's a lot of buying groups out there that you can, and right now is a terrific time to be involved in buying groups, because there's a massive amount of both gift cards and actual goods that are being sold and resold. And so, just for, if anybody doesn't know what a buying group is it's effectively a third-party service that resells either gift cards or actual stuff to other clients that want to get past limits on like Amazon purchases or gift card purchases, where it might be 1 or 2 per household, or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever. And so they get multiple people to effectively send them gift cards and or stuff that they then resell onto others. It's rarely do you make a huge profit out of doing it. Usually it's just small, maybe 1 or 2%, but it can allow you to do a massive amount of spend, especially this time of year, in a short amount of time. And there's quite a few out there. You can kind of look around. I'm not going to plug any right now, but that's a great way.
All right, nice. Next up, this person says, I've heard you mention that when you apply for a new card, you unfreeze your credit report, apply, and then refreeze it. What service do you use for that? And I'm not sure who they mean by you.
Yeah, I've never written that because I've never done that. Have any of you guys done that?
I have done that before, and I haven't bothered with it in a long time, but not a specific service. You can do it directly with the bureaus. So that's just something you go to the bureau and set up an account, and you can freeze and unfreeze. I stopped bothering with that a long time ago now, but yeah, that's something you can do.
So you mean just like go directly to TransUnion or Experian?
Yeah. And you can just set a security freeze. It depends. I think it varies. Some states it might cost you something to thaw it. It's free in New York State these days, but I don't know. It might cost something in other places. I don't know.
Yeah, interesting. This person has a unique question here. Player 2 recently signed up for a Carter's credit card to save $23, LOL. It's a store card. Does that affect 524? Will Chase ignore it like AU cards?
Anybody I want to know if this affected player 2's relationship with player 1.
Better love those clothes, kids.
Is that what Carter sells? I can't even remember what.
Children's clothing, yeah.
Yeah. So at least theoretically, if it's one of those that's just for the store, it's not supposed to affect 524. But if it's like a general Visa card or MasterCard or whatever that can be used anywhere and just happens to be branded Carter's, then it probably will affect 524.
That's more grim news.
Sorry. Player 2, sorry.
All right. So this person asks, will Greg be returning to Necker Island? And will anyone on the team be going for their first time?
All right. Will Greg be taking anyone on the team to Necker Island?
Next team meeting. Necker Island.
We have FM Con there next year.
There you go. I mean,
totally. Good
first
idea.
15 people to book. I mean, there's only 5 of us, right? Come on.
So this came up because we posted today that Necker Island is once again available to be booked with points. When I went, it cost 1.2 million miles. It's now 1.7 million. The price tag is the bad news. The good news is you don't have to have elite status anymore to book it. So that requirement went away. So in that way, it's easier to book. I'm probably not going to go back. For a while, I thought I would, but the more I've thought about it, it was such a magical, special experience. I don't think like going back will recapture that like first time magic. And so I feel like it would inevitably be kind of disappointing a second time. So that's my current thinking. What about rest of you? Is anyone considering it?
Can't say that I am.
I don't have elite status with Virgin, so there's that for starters, and then
I just said you don't need elite status.
You don't need it anymore. No, I skimmed. I admit I skimmed. I thought you just said you needed the elite status. Well, now that changes everything.
Well, now you gotta
what are you going to do with the 1.7 million Virgin points burning a hole in your pocket?
Right. Well, what was I going to do with those?
It is going to cost you a lot of money to add your kids that one.
Well, that's the problem. That's
exactly
the problem. Yeah, I might consider it otherwise because it did look pretty awesome, but no, I don't. Yeah, not going to pay for the kids.
Back when my wife and I went, I asked them what it would cost to add our son in, and there was a charge for like upgrading to a room big enough for 3, and then a charge for the third person, and cash charge, and so it would have been about $9,000 more to add him in. And so
sorry kids.
A lot of other things you can do with that.
It's probably more today,
Right. I mean, obviously the cost of staying there went up by like a third, right? So
you mean
third.
But the cash rate hasn't gone up that much,
right?
So it was like 30K at the time, and now it's like 36K or something like that.
Did you kill that deal? Just kidding.
I killed the deal. I don't think it was me.
Would you do it again for 1.7 million? Would you do the same thing now, having gone through the experience? Had you not gone through the experience already?
Yeah.
Would it be worth it?
I mean, knowing. Yeah. Well, actually, I would. If I could tell myself, go back in time, tell myself, do it anyway. Yeah, I would. I think it's. One of the things I absolutely adore about points and miles is it gives me the opportunity to do things I would never dream of doing if it was only paying cash, if paying cash was the only way to do it. And as I said, it was such a special, magical experience. And we still have friends around the world that until the pandemic, we were regularly seeing a couple that we became good friends with that live in England. And we saw a couple in Grand Cayman a couple times since then. And, it's just to have friends around the world that shared this really magical, special experience is, it's worth whatever number of points you get.
$19,000 worth of points. That's right.
Okay, so here's another quick question. If on January 1st, Amex launches a 50% transfer bonus to Virgin, would that change things?
A 50%?
Because then you only need just over 1.1 million. If Amex launched a 50% transfer bonus to Virgin, would you be interested? Because that makes it 1.13 million points at that point.
So I personally,
less than in theory.
Are you talking to me or to someone else on the team?
I guess
anyone.
You. Yeah.
I mean, I have the same issue about. I think it's not going to be as magical the second time. I think.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, though.
It is.
I'm going to move us along. So if you make a 3x purchase on Chase Sapphire Reserve and downgrade to Chase Freedom and make a 5x purchase, all in the same statement cycle, will you get all those points after the statement closes?
Wow.
That's a great question. I don't know.
Highly specific.
I would guess yes.
Yeah,
I think.
So I'm guessing yes because it shows you how many points you earned, pretty much right away.
I'd say if you weren't going to get any, it would be the 3x on the CSR, possibly, because your statement hasn't closed while you've had that card. But I imagine that you would get it on both. I'd have thought.
I think if it were a significant enough number of points to be asking that question, I would hold off on downgrading. Otherwise, like it'd be like, how many? How much difference is it going to make? If we're talking about like a few $100 or something that you spent, then I probably wouldn't lose sleep over
it. Wonder what the story is behind that one.
That's what I'm. Yeah. What, I would be curious from Yifty 08, like what is the 3x purchase and what is the 5x purchase?
Yeah.
That this is the strategy that you're.
Now we're
right.
Now we're curious.
Yeah.
In the meantime, next question: Aeroplan stopover awards. Can you add multiple stopovers to an award booking for 5,000 each stopover, or only one stopover allowed per itinerary in addition to layovers?
Can we all say it at once?
One each way.
You jumped ahead.
One each way.
So say that again. So it's only
one in each direction. Yeah, one in each direction. Mm-hmm.
Good to know. All right. Next question. How often have you used Priority Pass restaurants? Many people were angry about it being taken away from the Cap One Venture X. Were you guys part of that? Twice? So probably not enough.
Three times. Three times. I lied.
I think I've used it twice.
So
I
not
think
enough
once or
to be all
twice,
that
but it's
upset
been
about it.
many years since we've actually had a Priority Pass membership that's eligible for restaurants. And so like we used one ages ago, but I think that was the only time.
But I've also used the Be Relaxed Spa in Detroit, which is I don't think going to be eligible for the Capital One Priority Pass anymore. And I've also given advice to people locally here who fly in the Detroit airport that, getting Priority Pass is helpful now because you now have in the Delta terminal, you have the Be Relaxed Spa where you could get free massage. And in the other terminal, the Evans terminal, you can both get into a lounge and there's a Priority Pass restaurant. Those things are great still for those who have Priority Pass from Chase, for example, but not so good for the Capital One folks.
All right. This is something I feel like we don't talk a lot about, or maybe we talk about it more than we show it on our streaming and such. Best strategy to travel to South America.
Good question.
Annual Challenge 23 right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And if we don't have anything that's coming to mind for that, I can move on. But anyone got anything?
I'm gonna share a post in the comments on YouTube, which is a post that Nick had written a couple of years ago about the best ways to get to South America in both economy and premium cabins. But because that's a couple of years old, I don't know if there's anything that's changed since then, but I'm not aware of anything significant that would have had a huge impact on the advice in that. So that would be a good place to start.
Cool. Thanks, Stephen. In the meantime, can you meet Amex MSR by credit card funding a checking account? Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I haven't heard negative data points about that, but I also haven't tried it, at least not in a long time. And I'm not really aware of many checking accounts with that you can A, fund with a credit card at all, and B, if you can, it's usually such a small amount that it's probably not going to make a huge dent, and then also probably not draw any attention because it's such a small amount. I don't know. That's about the best I got.
The vast majority don't allow Amex for funding new checking accounts, so I'm not aware of any.
Be super careful because some of them will code as a cash advance, which gets you a very high level of interest. I think Doctor of Credit has a post that is credit or bank accounts that can be funded with a credit card.
They do, yeah.
That's kind of updated. So look at that before you decide to. And to the earlier point, Amex is probably the least frequently able to be used as opposed to Visa or MasterCard. And if it is, it's usually for a very small amount of money, maybe $500, $100, something like that.
And I think I should highlight Tim's point that it's kind of updated because there's sometimes things that haven't made it into the updates yet. So you should check not only the main information in the post, but also recent comments because, Dr. Credit's got so many different things to update all the time that those things don't always get updated immediately.
Yeah, that's good advice. All right. Next up, if I cancel a BA award ticket where I used fewer miles and paid higher cash, do I get refunded all in miles like IHG cash and points award stats when refunded, or just the points and cash I actually paid?
I would think just the points and cash you actually paid. I would agree. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, now you got to talk longer. So next question.
BA holds the. I'll say I've actually canceled the BA ticket with those points and cash, and the reason why I remember it is I was on hold for 9 hours.
Oh wow, that's a long time.
It literally is the longest that I've ever spent on. I remember that particular call because it's longer than I've ever. I literally made the call when I was going to work in the morning, and about the time I was about ready to leave, all of a sudden somebody picked up.
You need a Pixel phone that will stay on hold for you.
I do.
Okay.
No, that's an awesome thing. Man, Hit, I only had that. You're like 2 years too late, buddy.
Blame it on Google. Blame it on
Google. All right. Well, that bought me enough time. So next up, just product changed Marriott Bonvoy to the Ritz card today. Is the $300 incidental credit on a card year or annual year credit?
Annual. Use it now. Use it or lose it.
Anyone have experience using that?
Yes.
Well, I dig up another question.
It works on lots of stuff. Yeah, you want to use it, and you want to use it now because you can use it again in January. So you get $600 in the first, calendar year, or not calendar year, in the first 12 months rather that you have the card, I should say, because you'll get $300 now and $300 later.
And you could, you have to. It's not like Amex where it comes off automatically. You don't get the rebate automatically. You have to either call or secure message Chase to ask for the credit. And, when you do ask for it, make sure you let them know that the purchase that you made was like a seat selection fee or one of the things that is listed as what you can do with it.
All right. More from Yifty, but still not the intriguing backstory to his question. His or her question. How long before the departure time can you cancel JetBlue points bookings and get your points back? Does this change when your flight is delayed? So many stories untold.
Are JetBlue somewhere in the Caribbean, as far as I can.
Are JetBlue cancellation? Are they free now? Is that because I know everybody went to free, but JetBlue, I think for a long time wasn't. I don't think they are free, to be honest with you. So I don't even think you get free cancellations. So I as far as I remember, I think I'm looking it up. Change cancel fee amount. So a Blue Basic, the change cancellation fee, it says $100 within North America, Central America, and the Caribbean, and $200 on other routes. And then others of different scenario fare. Yeah, you know what? I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. I think all of them you can cancel until just shortly before, or most of them, everything except Delta, I think. Do you know how far in advance you have to cancel a Delta flight, Craig? I know it used to be like 72 hours or something, but then I think they changed it. Right?
I think they got rid of that. But I don't know.
Okay. So yeah. We don't know is the short version of the story. And hopefully we talked for long enough to give Carrie a chance to find the next thing.
Right. Yes, although this next question doesn't make any sense to me, but hopefully it will to you guys. Any downside to only signing up for the NLL Biz and Chase Inks right now? Am I missing something? Anybody know?
So they're basically asking, should they just sign up for the no lifetime language Amex Business Platinum and Chase Ink card? Because they're business cards, and so it doesn't, presumably because it doesn't affect their 524 status with Chase, and so I think that's probably why they're asking that. So I'd say if you're getting all your needs met by membership rewards and ultimate rewards, then I wouldn't say you necessarily need to change your strategy. If you're capable of keeping on getting these cards and meeting the minimum spend and just racking up the points, then there's not necessarily any reason to change your strategy.
All right. Another.
I mean, I don't know if the other guys have anything to.
No, that was a good answer.
All right, we are staying on the Chase Inc. theme here. Is there a huge risk to signing up for 2 Chase Ink cards in a 30-day period? Player 2 got approved for first Chase Biz card and don't want to miss out on the 90,000 offer for a second card. Thoughts on that?
So one is player 2 and one is player 1. Are they the same?
I don't know if that was clear to me or if they were talking about player 2 getting a second one. I don't think.
I think they're talking about player 2 getting a second one.
That's my guess.
My understanding of this question.
Okay.
And I'm not aware of any risk to that. Or anyone?
You might have a phone call with somebody.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you probably will have a phone call if you do that. But I know a lot of people that have been approved.
Right. And a phone call, that's not like an ominous phone call. It's a phone call of like, hey, we need more information about your business. Tell us a little bit. And they ask some simple questions usually. And they're usually their goal is to try to approve you. So yeah, I wouldn't shy away from that.
You go out and spend $7,500 like someplace really shady, like on day one with both of them. I guess maybe that'd be risky, but otherwise, I agree with Greg.
All right. Next up, can a person with lifetime silver medallion get his MQM rolled over without requalifying for even regular silver medallion status?
I don't think so. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think so. I think you do have to qualify for silver.
All righty. Next question, just pasting here. Bear with me. I have 3 Chase cards, but I have yet to qualify for any of the special spending bonuses they occasionally run. How widely are these things targeted? Do we know that?
They seem to be for everybody but me and you. Because I don't get any of them either. My wife gets every one of them, and I don't get any of them. I don't know what the deal is, Chase. Yeah.
I mean, what I'd suggest is whenever these come up every quarter, then we publish a post, and we have both the kind of generic chase.com/my bonus link in there, but also direct links to each of the different types of cards. Try using the generic and the direct link for your cards, because I've had success with one or the other before. So like with my Hyatt card, using the specific Hyatt link has sometimes worked. Other times using the generic link has worked, but not using the specific one. So try using that for all 3 of your cards, and hopefully you'll have some kind of luck. But yeah, that it doesn't always work. For the longest time, we didn't get any kind of offers on any of our Hyatt cards. And eventually this latest round we did, which was nice.
Nice.
Congratulations.
All right. What would actually need to happen for Marriott to enforce what Bonvoy is actually supposed to deliver and not let hotels get away with whatever they want?
Oh, wow.
Wants to know.
World peace might be easier.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding of how they work is, they don't own the physical hotels in most cases, so they're more of a management company, and so their money is coming from these, like their customers are these hotels in a large way, and so there's only so much they can do the way they operate to make things happen the way they're supposed to. And I just don't think they're incentivized to do that, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's
so. Yeah, bad. Let's try for world peace first.
That's a bummer. This is a fun question. Going to Tokyo in June, what's your favorite attraction or excursion there? Anybody?
Oh,
who's been?
Well, so I would say, and this is just top of mind right now, and I think it's probably going to be there for a long, long time, but there is a digital art museum by the name of Borderless. It's by a group that's called Team Lab, and it effectively has several rooms of multiple rooms of digital art that is effectively projected around the walls and in some cases through the middle of the room in really, really mind-bending ways. And it changes as people interact with it. So it never is actually the same thing. And you can actually interact with the different things on the walls and in many different ways.
That's cool.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Probably some of the best 5 or and most exhausting 5 or 6 hours that I've ever spent in Tokyo were at this place.
Wow.
It's
cool.
and I love Tokyo. I've spent a lot of time in Tokyo. It's one of my favorite cities in the world, but this is, and it's not necessarily even Tokyo specific, in terms of it could be anywhere, but it's only in Tokyo right now. And it's absolutely magnificent.
What's it called again? Because I want to write this down.
It's called Team Lab. I believe it's at the Mori Team Lab Borderless. I think it's at the Mori. It's out in Odaiba, which is actually kind of a haul from downtown, from central Tokyo. But yeah, check. I'll.
I like it. Sounds good.
There's several rooms in there that you walk in, and it feels like you're in some sort of like otherworldly, ethereal, trans. I mean, it's a marvelous place.
That's cool.
Very cool.
I like that. I feel like when I'm there, I usually just focus on like finding ramen.
Which is just as important.
Right. Maybe there's ramen.
Do you have a favorite ramen place, Carrie?
I'm sure I have it saved on some app somewhere that I can't recall at this moment. But before we move to the next question, we're trying to get better about asking everybody to like our videos and subscribe to our channel. So if everyone can take a moment to do that, that would be awesome. And are we ready to move on to the next question, or other thoughts on Tokyo?
What's your favorite attraction in Tokyo?
I don't have one in Tokyo. What I really liked the most, I think, you know what? Now I'm second guessing it. There's a museum of science. And for some reason I was thinking it was in Nagoya, but I think it's actually in Tokyo. And that was really cool. I don't know the name of it now, but they had this robot that ran around and jumped, and it looked like
cool.
a human, and it moved like a human. You would have thought there was a person in the suit. And they did this whole demonstration thing. I have it written down somewhere in pictures and stuff. But and also I went to a baseball game, and that was a lot of fun because it was like, very, very crowded. And of course, I guess that's not what you want these days, but packed stadium, excited people, is a fun environment for a baseball game, an indoor stadium there. But anyway, nothing that sounds as cool as Team Lab Borderless. So that's what I would probably check out if I were going.
And and if you're a foodie, you've got to go to some other special sushi restaurants. There's a million incredible ones there, and it's a real experience.
Yeah. Kind of related, possibly. What would be everyone's top recommendation for a honeymoon destination, and any particular flights you would take or hotels you would stay at?
Wow.
I actually was asked this.
Oh no, Carrie froze on us.
She froze. Hopefully she didn't when she went to answer the question.
The best recommendation ever, and now you'll just never know it.
Looks like I froze.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So my top recommendation is Newark, New Jersey. I haven't actually spent a lot of time there, but I've just heard so many great things.
Downtown
Newark. That's what I said too.
That's what Carrie was saying when she was
frozen. What I said when I froze. It broke the internet. It was such a controversial statement.
What were you going to say, Carrie?
I was going to say the Greek islands. I really like Zakynthos, but I mean, that's just a really beautiful and kind of unique place to be, I think.
That's a great suggestion. Greek islands.
And I guess it also depends on what you want out of your honeymoon. Yeah. Like, do you just want to be relaxing on a beach somewhere? Do you want to be actually traveling and experiencing things? Like, how busy is your life going to be leading up to the wedding? Because you can end up being like far more exhausted than you think that you'll end up being, just with like all the stress and planning and everything coming up to it. So even if like a kind of round the world trip might sound like a great idea, it might just be that when you're actually doing it after your wedding, you might end up regretting that, possibly. So those are a few factors to take into account.
I mean, I feel like everybody's got such different preferences. I think the argument may be in favor of an isolated place like the Maldives, for instance, which I know is like, the answer that you expect to get when you ask a bunch of bloggers about where to go. But I think the advantage of a place like that for a trip like that is that you're isolated. And so you're going to just spend time with each other, and, enjoying that. So there's some advantage to that. I guess, if that's what you're looking for, if you like each other, then, that'll work out well. And of course, if you're not very good at spending a lot of time together with nothing else to do but talk with each other, then that may not be a great trip for you. Maybe you're better off with lots of activities. But tough to answer for everybody.
I could see those hotels that, Greg, you've done where they like put your phone in a little Ziploc bag and stuff.
The Miravals. Yeah.
The Miravals. I could see that being nice. Just to not be on your phones. That's
yeah. If you want to do something sort of closer to home, since the Miravals to date are all in the US. But that would totally work. My wife and I, we went to Maine and stayed at a B&B near Bar Harbor and hiked every day. That was like our thing. We loved it. But as far as like sort of the ideal, like classic honeymoon type of thing, I mean, the Maldives is really special in that way, I think. And so, right. And there's some really nice, the question asked about like flights you would take. There's some really nice flights you could take to get out there. You could fly like the Qatar Q suites to get to the Maldives, I think. And so that would probably be a good way to do it.
And it also depends on how much time you get off work as well, because if you're only going to be able to get a few days for your honeymoon, then something like the Caribbean might make more sense, in which case there's kind of like less importance with like what particular flights you would take, because then it would be more kind of what's the most direct routing rather than taking anything like Emirates first class or something like that. So that's another factor.
And are you looking for something where you're going to like rough it together and experience it, or is that going to cause too much stress and you just want to kick back and relax? There's a lot of different questions to answer, I feel like.
So if they're going to rough it, you would do Newark?
I mean, if you really want to rough it, that's
We should also say congratulations, Matthew, on your impending wedding. I'm assuming you have an impending wedding, and if not, I appreciate the forethought that you're putting into this whole thing.
Right.
Before I knew who I was going to marry, I had my honeymoon planned.
I like that. I can't believe we haven't gotten any questions yet about Tim's outfit, but we'll leave that hanging. Next question is, any automated way to make 5 transactions on BILT rewards? And what does that mean?
The BILT credit card, you'd only earn rewards if you make at least 5 transactions each billing cycle.
So I know Miles Earn and Burn has mentioned something called debit before, which is DEBBIT. I've not used that before. I don't think it's necessarily only for debit card transactions. I think a lot of the time people use it for debit card transactions because it's to help them complete the requirements for new checking account sign-up bonuses. But I imagine that it would work for credit card transactions as well. So that would be something to look into. If you look up Miles Earn and Burn debit, DEBBIT, then I think you will hopefully find something on there that might be able to help you with that in terms of making it automated.
I mean, you also look at your other recurring bills. Like I have a couple of insurance bills that you can schedule out payments for forever. And you can schedule 5 $1 payments if you want every month for the next, however many months, and set yourself a reminder a year or 2 from now when those run out to set those up again. So you can just take a look at stuff that you already pay that you might be able to pay $1 at a time or something.
So Nick, should we publish your account information so people
you could. You pay $1 at a time. You pay 50 cents at a time. I paid 12 cents before. I mean, things that require lots of little transactions. I have done that before. So
and it's not automated, but you could always refill or like reload your Amazon account as well with like a couple of bucks per transaction. So if you just set up a monthly reminder to do that on the first of the month or something like that, and then that'll just take a minute or 2 out of your day and then you can just knock that out straight away. That's another option.
You can't automate that anymore?
You might be able to, possibly, but I don't know for sure.
At least there used to be, but I think there was a minimum $5 load or something like that if you automate it. But you might not be able to do more than like one a week, which will leave you short on some months.
Here's a question for Steven. Where's Dr. Pepper right now? He's cranking Red Bull at 9 p.m. Drinking Red Bull.
I am in glamorous Yorktown, Virginia at the moment. So I'm on Eastern time, but I had COVID like a week and a half ago, and it like knocked me out and really affected my energy levels. So I've had a hard time sleeping the last couple of nights, and so I got about 30 minutes sleep before we did Ask Us Anything, and I was like still half asleep when we came on, so I grabbed a can of Red Bull to try and help wake me up for this a little.
Restoration via Red Bull. I like that.
Steven's about to go to the club with truffles. So the Alpha's prime.
All right, next up, suggestions for sweet spots for AirCanada redemptions in Emirates.
That's a good question. Well, so the current award chart is going to be the same stuff as what AirCanada has had for a long time, and that's basically really North America to the Pacific. If you're willing to create a kind of complex itinerary, is where the sweet spot is. I would say today for the most part, but in the long run, they're going to have this distance based chart, and the bottom end of the distance based chart is itineraries up to 2,000 miles. I think. Now, I don't know off the top of my head where the shortest redemption is. I think there's a fifth freedom flight between like Kuala Lumpur and Singapore or something like that. There's a really short one that's like just over an hour long or just under an hour somewhere. So that one might be a sweet spot because I think it's 30,000 was the bottom of that distance band cost for an award. And the next up from that, I think maybe, and again, I haven't looked at flight schedules in a long time, but they used to fly Singapore to Melbourne, Australia. And so that's one that's not terribly long, but probably would fall within one of the shorter distance bands and maybe be an okay value. But those are the two that come to mind initially. I can't remember which one. There's a fifth freedom somewhere there in Asia. You should look it up. I wrote about it at some point, but I can't remember what
Anybody
it was.
else? All right, moving on. I'm over 524, currently only in Amex and Chase ecosystems. Any value to exploring Citi Thank You or Cap One Venture Miles? Should I keep Amex and get 90,000 for gold, or 80,000 Citi, or 75,000 Cap One? What do we think?
Wow. Greg's been living it up with Citi recently with Choice Hotels.
Yeah, if you're interested in exploring some sort of unique hotel opportunities, then Citi has some real advantages there. So if you get the Citi Premier card, that 80K offer, you'll be able to transfer those points 1 to 2 to Choice privileges, and that gives you a number of great sweet spots with Choice. I'll just mention a couple of the more interesting ones. One is if you go to any of the Nordic countries, there's Nordic Choice hotels, which are pretty nice, and they all cost, I shouldn't say all, but most of them cost around 20,000 points or less. And since you're transferring 1 to 2 from Citi, that means they're costing you 10,000 Citi points or less. And they all include free breakfast. Some of them include free dinner as well. And so that's a great deal. The other thing that's very interesting is Choice has a relationship with preferred hotels and resorts. So if you're looking at the sort of very high end of things, you could actually book preferred hotels with Choice points. And because of this 1 to 2 transfer, again, it becomes a decent deal. So the top hotels cost 55,000 points per night, but that becomes less than 30,000 points from the point of view of how many Citi points you need. And so if you think about, booking a very expensive hotel, you would often pay 30,000 points even with Hyatt to stay at a very nice hotel. And with Marriott, you'd spend 60,000, 70,000, 80,000. With Hilton, you'd spend 120,000. So, it gives you a sense of scale there.
And we're dropping a few posts which might be helpful in the comments of the YouTube. We'll send along anything else that comes to mind. But in the meantime, this person says, also related to hotels, I have never booked hotels with points. I only have Amex Plat hotel status, but no hotel cards and several thousand in various points. Focus on Hyatt, get the Aspire. I need about 20 to 30 nights in 2023. So what direction should they go?
Wow.
Well, if they got the Amex Platinum, that would get them Hilton Gold status. So I guess it depends on if where they're planning, what kind of Hiltons they'd be staying at, where Diamond status might make a significant difference over Gold status would be one thing to consider with that.
Yeah, along those same lines, the Aspire card, I think, is one of the best value cards out there. However, if your primary goal is to generate enough points to do 20 or 30 nights using points, and that's, I don't know that that's your goal, or you're just looking for a card to pay for paid nights with, or what. But if your goal is to generate the points for 20 to 30 free nights, then the mid-tier card, the Surpass, is that what it's called these days? Surpass, right? I couldn't remember because we have the old name. These guys know what I'm talking about. But the Surpass card is going to be the best one for generating free nights because of 6x at grocery stores, and then of course 6x restaurants, and I think gas stations also. Greg did a post a long time ago about generating free nights through spend on credit cards. Hopefully he remembers what it was called, or somebody else can pop the link in the box, because if you're looking for the best way to generate free nights with spend, that post will give you a good idea as to which card or cards would be best in that case.
So can I ask the question, kind of re-ask, just assuming that he means he's going to, or it's Marcus, assuming that he means he's going to be staying 20 to 30 nights per year. If you were going to stay 20 to 30 per nights per year.
Yeah, that's how I read it also.
Which card, what would, and you were going to focus on one program and card, what would you do?
Probably Marriott, and I would focus on two cards, the business and the personal Amex cards, because then you'd get 30 elite night credits between those two cards. You got to have one business, one personal, and you'd have to do it with the Amex cards because you open a Chase card, you're going to throw everything off. So you want the two Amex cards, the business and the personal card, and that'll give you 30 elite nights. And then your 20 nights that you're going to stay in the hotel will get you to 50. That will give you platinum status, free breakfast status, sort of. Marriott's a little complicated, but give you free breakfast at a lot of Marriotts and a 4 p.m. checkout. So that's probably the one I would do. Anybody disagree?
Do anything differently? I'm just curious.
I mean, that certainly makes sense in theory. Like, depending on what kind of properties, IHG may be an option, just because they have the milestone rewards now. So both 20 nights and 30 nights, you would pick up some benefits. So 20 nights, you could choose a suite upgrade. So if the kind of properties that you'd be staying in would just be things like a Holiday Inn Express, where you'd get breakfast included anyway, and you're just paying for these places and they're fairly cheap, then like IHG might make sense as well. But my initial thought had been Marriott as well. But yeah, it's so it like a big factor will be what type of properties and how expensive, and if you're booking with points.
Yeah, and let me just say, the reason we're not mentioning Hyatt, even though we all love our Hyatt, is that to get to globalist status, which is the only status worth pursuing, you need 60 nights, and a credit card will only help you so much unless you have a lot of spend on it. So
and I guess the other thing is, if you're eligible for one of those shortcuts to globalist status, would be something else to look at, because with 30 nights you might be able to do that. But if it's going to be 30 nights over the course of the year, I think usually those shortcut ones are normally you have to earn those within like 90 days or something like that, in which case that you might be a bit hard pressed to do something like that.
Yeah, those are all really good points. I feel like we mentioned every hotel.
Every chain. Told you everything. Pick one of them.
Yeah. So
Motel 6.
And of course, Choice Hotels. Like,
you might just go hotels.com and go for the welcome rewards.
There's a way to make most of those work, it sounds like. I really want to get to this question before we run out of time. What was the band you mentioned in a podcast like a year ago that had like 50 million Amex points that they cashed out at a terrible rate? This has been bothering me all day.
Oh my gosh, I remember talking about that, but I don't remember.
Is it bothering Che that they cashed them out at a horrible rate, or that he can't remember the band's name? That's what I'm curious.
I think it's the latter. That's how I'm gonna read it.
Wasn't it Foo Fighters?
Yes, it was Foo Fighters. I was thinking of the guy. I was thinking of him.
Yes.
I was like, it's the guy that was in Nirvana. Yes, Foo Fighters. There you go.
All right.
They'd had like one Amex Business Platinum for like 50 or for 20 years that they had put all of the expenses.
That's right. David Grohl, by the way. Yes. That was exactly.
Oh, that's funny.
Foo Fighters.
That's funny.
If you Google it, you'll find it.
Yeah, that was going to be my next plan. Are status benefits available when booking friends and family rates?
It might depend on the program. With Hilton, I'm pretty sure that it was, because my wife had worked as like just temping as kind of like a server with Hilton for like a few months before we set off on our road trip, and so she was eligible for friends and family rates, and certainly having diamond status with them, we were able to take advantage of those benefits.
Nice.
Cool. So this person says, I just got my VX card. What is that?
Venture X.
Venture X card.
Oh, Venture X. Okay.
Yeah.
So far accumulated over 103,000 points, but I have no idea how to transfer to partners to fly to Japan. So that this keeps us in our Japan theme. Any ideas?
Yeah. So I guess like your best options are probably going to be through Star Alliance programs. So Aeroplan is the first one that comes to mind. I mean, Turkish also is a partner, but I don't think Turkish has as good pricing, though, to be honest with you. I couldn't tell you if Aeroplan has great pricing either. Capital One, do they partner with Virgin Red, or am I crazy?
They do.
Yeah, they do. They partner with Virgin Red.
Yeah. So Virgin Red then would be your best bet if you get lucky and you find ANA either business or first class, because they're both really good values with Virgin points. So first class, if you're on the East Coast, 60K one way. If you're on the West Coast, 55K one way on ANA. Business class is a little bit less than that. I can't remember exactly how much. It's more than what ANA charges, but since you don't have ANA as a transfer partner with Capital One, Virgin Atlantic would be your best bet for booking that. Somebody else got something better now?
I've just shared in the comments a link to the best ways to get to Asia and premium cabins. So take a look for a link to that, and then that'll give you some options there.
When does that Life Miles Tokyo sale end?
Oh, today.
That's what I was going to ask about. Yeah.
Today, tomorrow. Oh. No, wait. The transfer bonus from Amex ended today. I don't know. The great point, Tim.
I think it might be. I want to say it might be the 9th, but 2 seconds.
I thought it was the 9th.
So there's an award sale for using Life Miles to fly specifically to Japan. So it's worth looking at that, see whether you could find any award availability, because you could then transfer your points to Avianca Life Miles to.
Yeah, that's
good point.
That's December 9th. So if you go to the Frequent Miler homepage and just scroll down a little bit, there's a link to the post on there, and that's got a direct link to the offer page where you can find out more information about that promo.
All right. Tim, I'm going to have you read our last question from Christopher Gomez, because I don't think it's going to make sense to anybody else.
Tim, oh, God bless Christopher Gomez going into college football. Tim, are you half full or half empty on Matt Ruhle heading to Nebraska? So the Nebraska Cornhuskers, I'm from Nebraska. We have a fairly fervent following. We've had 7 losing seasons in a row, and we still sell out the stadium of 90,000 every week. And we just hired a new coach after years of depressing, underachieving, and despair. And the new coach, I'll say the short answer is I like what I hear. He's a very good in front of a group. And he has a very good history, does Matt Ruhle, but I'm curious to see how it actually will play out in today's college football. So I would say I'm 3/4 full.
Can I tag a question on that, Tim? Are you wearing like an ear of corn on your head? A very enthusiastic
What?
Cornhusker.
And I'm not. Nope, we're not gonna. We can't. Nope.
Why are the Nebraska
gonna talk about it
Cornhuskers
unless-
using a Seahawk as their?
No,
I'm just so
no,
confused.
no.
Spoiled.
Harry Yoder.
Tim, there's only a minute left, so I think it is time for you to sort of take a bow and let people know what you're wearing.
Address
on
the
your head.
elephant or seafowl in the room.
I want to hear. I want to see people actually send us messages to guess what I'm wearing.
Well, here somebody
and I'll-
says,
and I'll-
and Tim's beak is what bird?
There you go.
All right, good.
Bonus
good.
points if you can correctly name not only what I'm wearing on my head, but what the name of the character that I'm wearing on my head is. I will send you a gift certificate to something.
Oh, something. What?
No, I'm going to say that, and I will say it will at least be $25 in value if you can guess not only what I'm wearing on my head, but what the name of the character is. And you have to be the first person to send it to mailbag@frequentmiler.com.
And you have to like our video.
And you have to like our video.
We'll
And
somehow confirm.
Carrie Yoder is going to cross-reference those two things.
Right.
So
if you liked this video, then make sure you like it and make sure you enter to win.
Right.
yeah.
Well, I think that basically we have tons more questions, but I think that brings us to the end of our time. So thanks everyone for all your great questions and for liking our video.
Yep. Thanks everyone.
Thumbs up.
See you next time.